can you describe Continental Automotive Component India's operations and positioning, including core product lines, key OEM customers, and how India fits into Continental's global manufacturing and engineering model?
Continental is 155 years old company. It started way back in 1851, producing some rubber products, and over a period of last 150 years, have grown into a technology company. And Continental entered India sometime in 2008, but the history goes back to 1958. There used to be a company called VDO, and also many of you know that Continental had a partnership with Modi called Modi Continental Tires, more so. And VDO was acquired by Siemens, then it became Siemens VDO, and 2008 Conti acquired Siemens VDO globally, and that's how they entered India as Continental Automotive. And we've been present since 2008 as a Continental legal entity for 18 years. Basically, we are into design, manufacture, and supply of advanced technology products for automotive. Basically, we have 4 verticals. What we call, first one is ADAS. It's more of assisted, automated, and autonomous driving. And second is what we call as user experience. When you sit inside the car, you see the bigger displays. Third, what we call as safety and motion. It's all to do with active and passive sensoric safety, like ABS, brakes, EBS, electronic stability controls, airbag controls, steering controls, then all sort of active, passive sensors. And the fourth is what we call ANS, architecture, networking, and services. That includes complete the body electronics in a vehicle. That includes high performance computer, integrated body controllers, telematics, gateways, and also software through our subsidiary Electrobit. So in India, we supply almost to every single OEM, be it be passenger cars or be it be two-wheelers, and also commercial vehicles. And our product spread is really wide.
How has the role of India evolved within Continental, from an assembly and manufacturing base to a center for excellence, localization, and product development?
So I'll give a little bit of a context to this. And if you had seen cars maybe 10, 15, 20 years back, it used to be purely mechanical. Cars always had metal, plastic, rubber. And then slowly we started adding electronics to that. With the electronics came in software. And today, every function in a car is defined by software embedded products. And also now we're moving to software defined vehicle. With that, there was a big need for talents who could develop embedded software for all the products what we supply. And that's how we conceived this, having a tech center sometime in 2009. We started with 70 people, and today we have in excess of 6,000 plus people working on most advanced technologies for globe, and also for the region, and also for the local markets.
With so many changes happening across vehicle technology, electric vehicles, connected cars, new safety systems, how do you decide where to focus your investments?
So our focus is on all these 4 product groups what I talked about, which is body electronics, autonomous vehicles. Then the third is user experience, and fourth is on the safety. These are the work play field. And if you talk about electric vehicle, 30% is electrification, again 70% is electronics. So our products goes into both or across all powertrain combinations, be it be ICE, be it be hybrid, or be it be electric. So we're focusing across all the powertrain. It is not specific to single vehicle configuration per se. Having said that, the more focus now is developing products for software-defined vehicles. That's one of the biggest challenge in automotive. And if you look in today's modern car, it has about 80 to 100 small computers, what we call as ECUs. Every function is performed by these ECUs, but their software and hardware is embedded together. Whereas a software-defined vehicle is, we are separating the software and the hardware. The reason is this also demand coming to an extent from consumers. Because when you buy a car, even after 10 years, you don't see any change. It remains same color. But with the software-defined vehicles, your ability to make it look different in all the functions and also add new functions over a period of time is what it will make it feasible. So that's where we are working in terms of aligning our products towards software-defined vehicles.
In a fast changing automotive industry, how do you approach innovation while keeping the business commercially disciplined?
Yeah, so always automotive is known for real efficiency because always we are stressed for profitability because it's a very value-driven domain, I would say. So for us, it becomes very, very important. How do we stay focused on innovation, which are commercially viable, and also the innovation should lead to either highest degree of customer satisfaction or a wow factor, or it should lead to a business efficiency, or it should lead to solving a problem. So this is where our focus has been on the innovation front.
How do you maintain the same standards across your different manufacturing and engineering teams, especially in a global setup?
That's driven by strong fundamentals on the quality management and the quality systems. That's one, which is followed by behaviors. And the third is also we use a lot of technology. For example, if you talk about our manufacturing plant, we invested in Industry 4.0 way back 7 or 8 years back. So there we are making use of complete data. So the data from every single equipment goes into a central server where we have developed our own algorithm. And that does the complete analytics and gives you a predictive or a prescriptive output. Today, if you see in an industry, you have a lot of metrics, and those metrics get reviewed at the end of the month. And only it's a post event, and you try to infer this could be the reason, that's why we went wrong, or whatever is this, then this is the action, then monitor for the next month. So there we have gone one step higher. We are trying to make use of the data even before the event happens. With the data analytics, our ability to predict that this event is going to stop that. So this has helped us in enhancing the quality, enhancing the efficiencies across board. And the third is certainly to an extent the sustainability part of it. Because electronics, our products get scrapped, it goes to not much of reuse in landfill. So that's where, so it reduces the energy consumption, reduces the scrap. So it has a multiple effects on sustainability, and obviously the end result is shown in P&L in terms of better efficiencies in the cost.
What global trends, such as economic, political, or regulatory, are most affecting your customers and business right now?
For last 5-6 years, industry has been talking about something called the trends. Somebody used as acronym as CASE: connected, automated, safe, and electrified. So if you ask me, I would say now it's PACE. What does P stands for? It's more polarized world. Then comes automated, connected, and electrification. So we continue to have, as we say in today's world, the stability has become temporary and crisis has become permanent. And we saw that in 21-22 when we were hit with semiconductor crisis. And that really struck us very badly, globally, everyone. Yeah. So that's where we had a project, for example. So we developed our own tool to predict this before the event happens to an extent possible. But I wouldn't say 100% is going to be possible, because sometimes this is also related to geopolitics. It's very difficult to predict the geopolitics. For example, suddenly last year we had crisis of rare earth magnets, with China overnight decided that I will not ship. So it's very difficult to predict that. But from the semiconductors perspective, in terms of this thing, so we have our tool which uses nearly 800 different inputs to an extent, and it gives you a sort of a predictive output over the next 5 years. What's going to be the shortage? What could be the reason? Is it because of the capacity? Is it because of the adjacent domains consuming more? Is capacity not building add up? So there are multiple things. So it gives, so with that, for example, the recent example has been on the memory. A memory chip is becoming a crisis, and it will become a crisis in next 3 to 4 months. It's already brewing up. And this we were able to predict in last September. And we went and told our customer that this is what is going to happen by mid of 2025-6. And this is what we could do. So we also given them a solution, and sometimes the solution comes with an additional cost. At the end of the day, yes, that makes sense rather than stopping the production. So all of us agree, and that's where we also, this is the value add to customers by helping them predict in advance and also finding a solution in advance. And in some cases, if there are no solutions well for the prediction, the least thing we could do is having a 6 months inventory. I know it's totally goes against the principles of just-in-time, TPM and all this, but we don't have a solution, but this is, given the circumstances, this is the best thing to have.
How do you attract and retain strong engineering talent, particularly when you're competing with technology companies and new EV players for the same people?
So that has always been the biggest challenge. And if you talk about talent attraction, I think the what we have done is how do we bring in purpose to the work? That's where, because today's Gen Z, we have a lot of youngsters who are very impatient and who question the basics, which is good. At the same time, they also want to do things faster, differently. And so first we started 5 years back is program on reverse mentoring, because it has to start from the culture, because we had a lot of difference between year of an R&D being maybe mid-40s and this youngster at 25, there's an age gap of 20. So how do we ensure that we have a seamless integration? So we started reverse mentoring, so that also helped all our managers to understand their way of thinking differently and how they also could change their leadership behaviors. Having said that, one of the important things we constantly do is how do we bring purpose to what we do. For example, if we are the leaders in brakes, electronic stability controls and ABS, which goes into passenger cars and two-wheeler, that means you are helping to really reduce fatalities and save lives. That's the purpose. So that's how you connect their work with what they contribute to the world.
Looking ahead, what are the biggest opportunities and risks for Continental Automotive Components India, both globally and in India specifically?
Risks are constant, yeah. So that's a reason in today's strategic planning process, scenario analysis has become very, very important. Maybe if you ask me, few years back, 7-8 years back, when we had a crisis, we had a solution for everything. But today, honestly, we don't have. You don't have, but still, you have to emerge as a winner. If you have to do that, the only thing possible is how agile you could be. So that's one focus on how, as a company, as a culture, how you can be agile. The second is also in your strategic planning process, the build scenario planning becomes much more important. So that you build the scenarios in the event if this happens, how are you going to respond? So you have well thought through that, and despite all these challenges, still you can cross the hurdle. So these are the two things what we've been consciously doing. You cannot avoid the risk, only you can mitigate the risk. And if you are able to predict that risk well in advance, then your ability to be prepared for that risk mitigation is always much higher. Oh, opportunities are huge. One, I talked about the software-defined vehicle, and already technology is moving to AI-defined vehicle. So there's a lot of AI which is coming in products, and also the ability to in software-defined vehicle. What happens? There is a commercial angle to that for our OEMs. Post-launch, you can sell some of the functions, like how you and me buy on a phone and an app to different. For example, one example is the seat heating, one of the European OEM, and you don't use seat heating throughout the year, you use it only in the winter. Then why would you have it for the full year? So that is sold as a function. So you can buy only for 3 months. So like this, you can enhance a lot of functions which could be commercialized. So that's another part of tech, because the development today stops at the point of sale and revenue is maximum on the service side. But with software-defined vehicle, towards the entire life, you can keep upgrading, you can keep selling a lot of new features and new functions for the consumers.
Where do you see the next big wave of growth coming from, whether in existing product lines or new areas of business?
So in India, if you talk about India, our growth is basically coming from content per vehicle, and costs are becoming, first phase where growth we had was mostly on the safety side, because India was trying to close the gap in terms of the regulations and make it in par with EC regulations. That's where our real growth came from, be it on the ABS, ESC, 6 airbags introductions, and with that additional products what we do in sensorics, so that helped us. So that's sort of flattening, yeah. So it's we have reached a certain level, but certainly it will continue to grow, but it has its own limitations. Now its drive is driven by more consumer preferences. Consumer preferences like you and me want to have more convenient. Because we also have evolved. Maybe 10 years back, we have seen those comforts at home. Then we started seeing that comforts in office. Now we spend a lot of time in car. We expect cars also to be fully, because we spend so much of time and always connected. That's where the connected and the convenient features are coming from. On the convenient features side, on the ADAS side, it's more again in extended safety, which is more assisted functions. For India, autonomous may be a long dream, because when you talk about autonomous, there are multiple things has to come together: infrastructure, driving discipline, road line marking, the road signs. Everything has to be perfect. So that could be a long way, but certainly given the number of fatalities in India, unfortunately, which is about 10%, which contributes to wrong reasons, we can have an extended assisted safety, like for example, emergency brake assist. So if the car sees your inability to react to a certain situation, then car takes over and it brakes. That's an emergency brake assist. So those are the functions is one. Second is often connected features. So once if you want to have a connection to the outside world, then you have a lot of things which needs to be done inside the car, like telematics, the controls, antennas, and all this. That's a big area. And also the user experience. When you sit inside the car, earlier the instruments used to be smaller, but today becoming displays bigger and bigger, what we call as pillar. What you see this still smaller, and also these are configurable, by the way. And if you don't like this color, at the turn of a knob, you can make it look differently according to your style. So that's another area where the user experience is one, which is also, these are the three areas I would say where we are looking at growth.